It's funny how betrayal doesn't come crashing down all at once. It sneaks up on you, piece by piece, until you are drowning in it and can't remember how you got there. That's how I feel right now, sitting alone in the dark, clutching a whiskey glass with trembling hands, trying to process how my 6-month marriage is ending before it really began. But let me back up. Maybe if I lay it all out, it'll make sense or at least hurt a little less. 3 years ago, I met her at a mutual friend's dinner party. She wasn't supposed to be there, she'd come as a last-minute +1 for someone else. The moment I saw her, I was hooked. She had this energy, this glow, that made it impossible to look away. She laughed loudly, spoke with her hands, and made everyone in the room feel like they were the only person who mattered. When we started talking, it felt like the universe had pressed pause just for us. After years of failed relationships, most of which ended with me discovering my partner had cheated, meeting someone like her felt like fate throwing me a lifeline. I fell hard and fast, and for the first time in years, I allowed myself to believe that maybe, just maybe, I'd found someone who wouldn't hurt me. Someone who wouldn't make me feel like I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop. In the beginning, she was perfect. Thoughtful, funny, affectionate. She knew about my trust issues and promised me she'd never give me a reason to doubt her. And for a while, she didn't. We moved in together after a year, got a dog together, a golden retriever named Max, who quickly became my best friend, and started planning a future. Marriage, kids, the works. But then, about a year before we got married, things shifted. Her ex came back into town. I didn't know much about him at the time, only that they'd had a messy falling out years ago but had been close friends before that. She told me it was no big deal, but the moment he resurfaced, something in her changed. She started getting distant. She'd spend hours on her phone, claiming she was just scrolling through Instagram, but her face would light up in a way that didn't seem innocent. When I finally asked her if something was going on, she got defensive. "It's just weird seeing him again," she said, brushing it off like it was nothing. "It brings up a lot of old memories, that's all." I wanted to believe her, but my gut told me otherwise. I suggested couples therapy, thinking maybe we could work through whatever was happening, but she shut that down immediately. "Why would we need therapy?" she asked, laughing. "We're fine." But we weren't fine. At least, I wasn't. Fast forward to tonight, and here I am, staring at my wife's phone like it's a ticking time bomb. It buzzed while she was in the shower, lighting up with a message from someone named Ryan. Normally, I'd fight the urge to snoop. I'd tell myself I was being paranoid, that my insecurities weren't her problem. But something about the way she'd been acting lately, the late nights, the secretive texts, the sudden yoga retreat she'd planned for this weekend, made my stomach churn. Against my better judgment, I unlocked her phone. And just like that, my world fell apart. The messages weren't just flirty, they were blatant. She was planning to meet this guy in another state, using the fake yoga retreat as a cover. "I can't wait to see you," one message read. "It's been too long." Too long? Too long since what? Since she'd last betrayed me? Since she'd last lied to my face? When I confronted her, I expected denial. Maybe even an apology. What I didn't expect was for her to turn it all around on me. "This is your fault," she said, her voice trembling with what I can only assume was a mix of guilt and anger. "You've been treating me like I'm the bad guy for months. You're always so paranoid, always accusing me of things. I needed to feel wanted. Wanted. As if I hadn't spent the last 3 years trying to show her how much she meant to me. As if I hadn't bent over backward to make her happy, even when it meant ignoring my own needs. I was furious. Hurt. But more than anything, I felt stupid. Stupid for believing her when she said she wasn't like the others. Stupid for thinking I could ever be enough for someone like her. I spent the rest of the night sitting on the couch with Max, who rested his head on my lap and looked up at me with those big, soulful eyes like he knew exactly what was happening. He's always been able to sense when I'm upset. It's one of the many reasons I love him. But now, I'd have to say goodbye to him, too. The apartment is in her name, so I'll be the one packing my bags tomorrow. Max will stay with her, and I'll lose the one source of unconditional love I had left. As I sat there, I couldn't help but replay every little moment over the past year that I'd brushed off as unimportant. The nights she came home late without an explanation. The sudden need for more girls' trips. The way she always angled her phone away from me when she was texting. It was all there, right in front of me, but I didn't want to see it. I wanted to believe we were happy. That she loved me. That I was enough. But I wasn't. And maybe I never had been. The clock struck midnight, and fireworks exploded outside, lighting up the sky in bursts of red, blue, and gold. Cheers and laughter echoed through the neighborhood, but inside, the silence was deafening. This was supposed to be our first New Year's as a married couple. We'd planned to spend it together, just the two of us, toasting to our future and dreaming about the life we'd build. Instead, I was alone, drowning in tears and cheap whiskey, mourning the life I thought we had. By the time the fireworks faded and the world outside settled into the quiet of the new year, I realized I couldn't stay here any longer. I packed a bag, threw in some clothes, my toothbrush, and the book I'd been reading, something to keep me distracted when the silence got too loud. Max followed me around the apartment, his tail wagging like he thought we were going on some grand adventure. I knelt down and wrapped my arms around him, burying my face in his fur as tears streamed down my cheeks. "I'm gonna miss you, buddy," I whispered, my voice cracking. "You take care of her, okay?" He licked my face, and for a moment, I considered staying. For him. But I knew I couldn't. Staying would only prolong the pain. It was better to rip the bandage off now and figure out how to heal later. As I walked out the door, I felt a strange mix of relief and devastation. Relief because I was finally free from the lies and betrayal. Devastation because the life I dreamed of, the future I thought we were building together, was gone. I don't know what comes next. Maybe I'll crash on a friend's couch for a while, or maybe I'll check into a cheap motel until I can figure out my next move. All I know is that I'll survive. I have to. Because if there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that heartbreak doesn't kill you. It just makes you wish it would, at least for a little while. But someday, I'll look back on this night and realize it was the moment everything changed. The moment I stopped settling for less than I deserved. The moment I started to rebuild. And maybe, just maybe, I'll finally find someone who doesn't make me feel like I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Until then, it's just me, the open road, and the hope that brighter days are ahead.